Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's episode is part 3 of tuning these twin carbs for this Italian Innocenti Mini. Part 1, if you haven't seen it, go watch it up here. It's on the initial assessment of the car and what's going on with the engine in terms of its ignition system. As always, I always start with the ignition. Then we move on to carburetors. So part 2, link here, is all about me taking them apart, trying to figure out what's wrong with them, getting them reset up to work as a singular pair, and getting them prepared to go back on the car. So in this episode, I'm actually going to be fitting them to the car and doing the first start, seeing what's happening with them, and doing the tuning. Now, I have to take the carbs off at some point because I do not get the correct results out of the carbs right away. I see multiple problems, and it's because I made assumptions about the condition of the throttle, bushes, and the jets. Now, as I mentioned previously, I was told that they had been rebuilt, or somewhat recently, had fresh parts, and I could confirm that the jets looked fresh, and the floats and needle valves did look fresh as well. However, the jets were being worn by the needles, and so there was actually damage to the jets, and the bushes were done improperly. So those were a fun surprise I ran into later on, but you'll see that once I get to the footage itself. Also, there's a surprise problem with these dampers, which I'll get into later on as well, which is causing a huge problem with these carbs. So I also want to mention that the air fuel gauge is hooked up, but it is actually hooked up to a sensor that I've fitted to the exhaust header. I fitted one to the header because I wanted to be able to drive this car to sort out all the acceleration enrichment and top end fueling. It's the only way to do it on a set of twins. You must have a sensor fitted to the exhaust. So with that being said, let's get into the episode and you'll see what happens. Well, we're back out at the car. As you can see, the carbs are now installed with the tops on. And I've written ETF on here because that fluid seemed to give the best drop rate with these dampers that are fitted now. Once I get into the tuning, I'll be able to check and verify that ATF is a good choice or a bad choice for the acceleration enrichment. But for now, we'll just leave it alone. If I have to make a modification, I'll have to modify the dampers. Choke cable's hooked up, throttle cables are all hooked up, so everything is operating as smoothly on the car as it was on the bench. So the next phase of this is to check fuel pressure. Now I've got my fuel pressure gauge hooked up here, and as you can see, there's some residual pressure in the fuel line here, which is already at 2 pounds, which is a concern for me because we don't want to see more than 1.5 pounds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go turn on the pump and see what the highest output is from this pump. Aha! So we've got 3 pounds, way too much fuel pressure for those poor little needle valves. So I'm going to need to fit a pressure regulator and dial this down to 1.5 pounds for these carbs. Also, I'm going to fit in fuel filter because I don't want any more sediment getting into these freshly cleaned fuel float bowls and causing issues with the needle or anything like that. So I've gone ahead and fitted that regulator. It's way back here. And there's the filter right before it. So I've got my fuel pressure gauge hooked up in line so I can make minor adjustments as needed. Once this is running, I don't want to try and do it with it not running because you can get erroneous readings off of this. But I'll get it started here in a few minutes. I do need to set the ignition timing since I fitted the brand new ignition distributor. It's a new Power Spark that I've recurved, and I think it'll work really well for this 998 Cooper. So let me fire it up and see how it runs. Well, it's running. Sounds pretty good. Just a little bit of stuff burning off that new exhaust gasket. So let me adjust the timing, and then I'll fuss the carburetors. And you'll notice we still got about 2 pounds of fuel pressure here. So I need to make further adjustments to that the pressure regulator. I've got a great example of a leaky set of twins. So you notice I'm running lambda 10 whatever at higher speed. So we're at 1350 RPMs. As soon as I slow this down, this thing leans way out. See? So that's what you're going to see with a set of worn twins. Well, we're back out on the bench. I've got the carbs off yet again. And I was really struggling trying to get this car to idle properly. And I finally took this out and I completely stripped it yet again. And I found that the bushes weren't done properly on this carburetor. So you'll see that there's a brass piece here, that's the bush, and you'll see that there's a brass piece there. But you can see that there's light that can pass through to the other side, which means that the bush does not go all the way through. So they only bushed it literally on the outside of the housing. So that's a tremendous air leakage problem, and I'm going to have to basically do a new set of bushes on both these carburetors before I can get this car to run properly. So I'd like to clarify something I was just discussing about those carburetors. I have here another HS2 carburetor, and I'm talking about the bushes in the housing of the carburetor. Now, in the SU book, you will see they talk about doing the throttle shaft bushes, and they talk about fitting them to the outside of the housings of the carburetor body, leaving the inner material as is from the factory. So the inner part will be aluminum, the outer part will be a brass bush. Now, whoever did these bushes did in fact do that same procedure as described in the book. However, I noticed that the throttle shaft itself was very, very loose in the body of the carburetor. And I think what happened is that they went to drill out these bushes, fitted them, and then ran into a problem fitting the shaft into the bodies, probably because they didn't have everything lined up properly and couldn't get the shaft in. So then they had to drill out this part of the material of the carburetor body to make the shaft fit, which ultimately ended up causing a huge vacuum leak. So I've gone ahead and drawn the situation that was happening. So you can see here, here's the throttle shaft. This is the disc. This is the body of the carburetor, and then this is the bush. So they had replaced the bush out here, but then left this huge gap between the throttle shaft and the body. And this was causing a major air leak at idle. So when you saw me idling the car down and the mixture went from lambda 101 to 1.2 or something, it's because the discs were closing, but then a huge amount of air was just passing right around the throttle shaft because of that extra space that they had created by drilling the carburetor bodies improperly. So this is why I was having so many problems getting that car to run right, is because of this poor manufacturing or poor machining work in here. Also, these bushes were fairly loose. I think they had like a 3/1000 clearance or something on them. So ultimately, this is going to have to be repaired. I'm going to have to drill through this whole body to take this bush out and then open this this part up that wasn't drilled to the correct diameter to fit the new SU bushes that come with the kits. So here's an example of an HS4 carburetor. Yes, I know it looks a little strange, but the bushes there have been replaced and they are flush with the inner diameter of the carburetor housing. You can see the bush just protruding just slightly right there, but it does not interfere with the disc whatsoever. So that's how they should have been done, but they just were not done. Now on this end, I would have fit an extra half bush, and I did on those twin carbs just to add a bit of support to this this end of the throttle housing here. This one typically is just a singular bush, but this is this side's typically 1.5. So now that I had fixed the bushing problem on those carburetors, I refit them back onto the engine, and I had them running again. And I noticed that I could idle the car down to a proper idle, reasonable idle, somewhere in the 900 range. and it was running fine, except sometimes when I'd fit the damper tops to the bodies of the carburetors, I was getting the needles, they were sticking once again. And I thought that was odd because I had just fixed the problem with the bushes. By the way, I did new jets while I was doing the bushes, fix everything. But occasionally the tops would stick, so I thought that was a strange problem, but I just kept checking to make sure that they weren't sticking every time I fit the top. I thought, okay, I could live with that as long as no one touches them. But once I started revving the engine with the M needles in there, I noticed it was a tremendous amount of fuel just pouring into the engine until about 2,500 RPMs, and then it would be okay. So I thought that was weird. Now, I switched to the GG needle, the leanest needle that SU makes, and tried the test again. And again, I kept having to fiddle with the tops because they just didn't want to sit properly for some weird reason. So I fitted the GG needles, had the car running again, had the exact same fueling up to about 2,500 RPMs, and I thought, this is crazy. Well, this is why. So here's another issue I found with these carbs, is that the tops of the dampers can move about 4 to 6 thousandths on their seated positions. So I was having issues with the needles getting stuck occasionally, especially during a temperature swing like running it hot versus cold. And yeah, these tops just move around quite wildly. For comparison's sake, here is a different top and piston in the same position. Notice how it only moves a couple thou when I slide it vertically up and down. So the tops were walking around way too much compared to the other pair. And the reason is someone had come into here and sanded this down to increase clearance. I don't know why, but that increased clearance was causing a huge problem. For starters, the tops were able to move around too much and cause the needles to stick against the jets. That was a problem number one. Also, the rising and falling rate on these dampers was way fast compared to a standard set. And I'll show you a video clip of that in a second. So on the left is a standard HS2 top, unmodified. On the right is the modified damper. So I'm just going to let them go, and you'll see how much faster this one on the right moves. It's like 3 times faster. That fast drop rate meant that there wasn't a good vacuum seal between this piston and the belt chamber. And the reason that was a problem is because engine vacuum is exposed to this hole here. Sometimes they're on the bottom here. Engine vacuum is what pulls this top up. Now, if this top doesn't have a good seal, then any of the engine vacuum coming in here is just going to leak around the belt chamber. Which means that at slow speeds, this piston isn't going to move up as it should. So during my testing and checking, I ended up taking the dampers out, I ended up taking the springs out of these tops, and I could not change the fueling no matter what I did. And it was only once I discovered that these belt chambers were loose and they had been modified, essentially ruined, that I realized that these pistons weren't moving properly because the engine vacuum was not moving them properly. And what that was doing is causing an artificial choke on the engine. So the engine vacuum was rising, but the piston wasn't rising, so extra fuel was just getting siphoned off of the jet. Once I switched the tops, all those problems went away. So I was able to regain control of the fueling. I was able to run it at a proper idle mixture and at a proper idle speed as well. And then once I revved it, it actually would lean out correctly to the point where I actually had to modify the GG needles to give more fueling above 3,000 to 5,000 RPMs. So that was good. The carbs started behaving as they should, but I could only find that problem after having fixed everything else about the carburetors, because all those other air leaks were masking this problem. Once I fixed all the air leaks, this problem became apparent. So that was the hardest part about this tune, was finding this this problem with this belt chamber and piston, because it's not a common problem. You wouldn't normally have someone come in here and sand these down for no reason. It's just not an expected issue. So thankfully I was able to find it, but it did take a couple extra days of just head scratching and testing and checking and measuring, and ultimately I did find this problem. Once I fixed the problem, I was able to then go into the actual needle tuning itself. So this next scene here is me doing some actual needle tuning work for these needles. Right, so where are we? Well, I've got the fuel pressure dialed in to about a pound to pound and a half-ish. That gauge is a little iffy. Both these carburetors are now running as a single unit, which is excellent because I was having real problems with these bodies. I had to do bushings, gaskets, jets, etc. So they're all back together now. Got the timing dialed in, and now it's time to do some needle modifications. Oh yeah, I had to change the both dashpot tops and pistons because of that top issue I mentioned earlier. So anyway, so now I'm going to go ahead and modify the pair of needles I have. I have a pair of GG needles, and we're running a bit lean between 3 and 5, so I'm going to go ahead and take some material off these, and hopefully that fixes it. Well, getting closer. So I did the modification from 3 to 5, got the fueling under control there. It was still a bit too rich on tip-in and about 2,000 RPMs, even though I'm setting the idle fairly lean. So I had to make some adjustments to the damper springs in these tops to lean that off. And once I did that, it was able to correct the fueling. So I'm getting good results, all the way up to 5,000 RPMs for steady speed. The next step is for me to take this out on the road and check the acceleration enrichment and the top-end fueling. It's definitely running a lot stronger now that I've got these K&N filters fitted instead of that original air box. So yeah, things are definitely improving on this system. So just checking the throttle response. Sounds alright. It's a little flat initially, but again, I haven't finished the needles, so I'm going to take it out for a drive and see how it drives. Notice the fuel pressure is about a pound or so. And here we can see the carbs idling nicely around lambda 1-ish. They're not perfect, but they're doing a lot better than when it started. So the last check I always do is check a spark plug. And I've gone about 60 or so miles. This looks pretty nice and clean. Now, if you've had a tune recently, that's one thing you need to do is check your spark plug. Make sure that it is looking clean, because that's a sign of a good tune. So I've driven this car about 60 miles. It's running really strong. There's a few issues with it. Number 3 seems to be burning oil just like my 998, and 4 seems to have a bit of the same problem. But overall, the engine's running really healthily, running really strong. I've had it up and down the canyon a little bit, so it has responded well to the tune. And hopefully the customer notices and appreciates all the work that went into those two carbs. So thanks you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next video. And as always, I'll see you soon.